everyone. Welcome into the CBT Live first show. It's Monday, August 24th. I'm Jim Fitzpatrick. I am joined by my partner, Bridget Fitzpatrick.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Yeah, welcome back to the news desk.
Thank you. It's really good to be back. As some of you know, I was the anchor here at CBT News for about 10 years and kind of like took a back seat for a little while to work on some other things at CBT News.
Other things like running the company.
Basically.
Yeah. Many of you don't know that she is pretty much the COO of the whole deal and runs the deal.
Well, it takes a village.
That's right.
So we've got a great team behind us, don't we?
And I think some people don't realize that we've got other platforms in addition to CBT that has taken up a lot of your time.
We do. So ASBN.com is another platform very similar to what you see at CBTnews.com, but it covers the entrepreneurial world and small businesses. So you can go there and get content on how to run your businesses better, whether you're in landscaping all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. But,
that's right.
Yeah.
Everything in between.
Everything in between. So,
we're glad to have you back on the desk, and it's great to co-host this exciting new show that we're doing live every day, Monday through Friday.
That's
starting today.
That's right. So every day at noon, we are going to be bringing you the stories that we're watching across the automotive industry, what they mean for our dealer audience, and the impact that today's headlines have on the people that support our great industry.
That's right. That's right. And of course, we'll also sit down with all of the movers and shakers, as they say, across the auto industry to get their take on the issues that matter most of the day. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, we are. So later in today's show, we'll be joined by Tully Williams, Fixed Ops Director at the Niello Company, and we'll also welcome Steve Greenfield, General Partner at Automotive Ventures, and also host of CBT News' Future of Automotive.
That's right.
But before we get into those great interviews, let's talk about some headlines today. How about that?
Let's do that.
Okay, so U.S.-Canada trade talks collapse. Tariffs are back in focus.
Yeah.
Now, this was a big one over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Trade talks between the U.S. and Canada collapsed late Friday after the two sides failed to resolve several major issues, including automotive trade terms.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that happened.
It is.
I think the auto industry is a little bit concerned about that right now, right? There's a lot of trade that does go back and forth, especially in the auto sector, between us and Canada, and it looks like they're going to come out with kind of a retaliatory tariff towards the U.S.
Dollar for dollar.
Yeah. So that's not good.
So we'll be continuing the coverage on this at CBTnews.com, so be sure to stay tuned for all of that. So another story, we covered this last week, but it's important to talk about again. The FTC secures $4 million in the Nissan dealer settlement. So this is something we all need to be paying attention to. We had a huge conference about it a few months ago, back in June, which was very important. But the FTC and the state of Connecticut secured a $4 million settlement involving Manchester City Nissan and former owners and managers.
That's right. Yeah. And we tried to warn them, didn't we?
It's going to be,
this had already been in the works, but this is something that dealers really need to pay attention to. Dealers that are listening, the FTC is not screwing around on this issue. Okay, $4 million for this Nissan dealer, and I should say that it was really for the previous owners of this particular store.
New owners
but
now.
It just goes to show you it can kind of run you out of business if in the event that fine gets in the millions of dollars. There's a lot of dealers out there that can't afford a $4 million fine and continue business operations. So they're not messing around, guys.
They are not. But let's talk about some good news.
How about
that? How about some good news here? So August new vehicle demand tracks at a $16.4 million SAR. So that's really good news.
That is good news. No question about it.
Yeah. So August new vehicle demand is tracking at an annualized sales pace of about 16.4. So that is good news.
It really is. I mean, and the fact that the car sales are cranking along. Even though the average price of a new car is $50,000, we have got gas prices that are $4 a gallon. There's a lot of uncertainty out there in the business community, and affordability seems to be at the top of all of this. And yet here we are at 16.4 million. Not that bad.
People are still showing up and still buying cars.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think the high watermark might have been 17.5 million in new car sales. We haven't seen that obviously since COVID. However, 16.4 million, a lot of people will take that and call that a pretty decent year, right?
More good news. Dealership acquisitions rise 14.3% according to a recent study. The U.S. dealership buy-sell market remains strong, and the study says that a number of dealerships acquired increased 14.3, like I said, in the first half of 2026. So that's good news too.
And we might add that right here in our home state of CBT News here in Georgia, in Atlanta, in our city, 1.3 billion for 10 dealerships.
Yeah.
My gosh, that is so exciting. I know there's a lot of dealers out there going, maybe I can get $100 million for my standalone store.
Right.
And it's just incredible the kind of numbers that these stores are bringing right now, especially in light of everything that's going on.
And we talk to all the major players in that sector here on CBT News. So be sure to watch the coverage that we have and hear from the experts on all that's going on in the buy-sell market from all of the great companies that.
That's right. I've spoken to, as you know, we talked to a lot of them, and they're having record years. You know, not just in the dollar volume, but also in the number of transactions that's happening. It's pretty cool.
I know, it's exciting.
That's right.
So here's just something that's kind of interesting. Excuse me. The stick shift is almost gone.
That's incredible.
So should we care about this? I don't know, but manual transmissions have almost disappeared from new vehicles in America. Fewer than 1 in 100 new U.S. vehicles are now sold as a stick shift.
Isn't that incredible? I learned. Well, I didn't learn on a stick shift, but it was my first car was a stick shift.
I learned how to drive on a stick shift.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I ever want to have one again, but I like that I know how to drive one.
Yeah, no
right?
question about it.
I don't know. It's just a kind of more of a fun fact at this point. But
that's right.
I know Porsche's making some headway in bringing some of their 911, I guess.
Well, if you're going to drive a 911, you got to have a stick shift, right?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but you can't drive, do the shift, and text at the same time, right?
You can't use your phone?
Or talk on your phone.
Well, maybe I'll go with an automatic then.
So maybe stick shifts should be back so they keep us all safe.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
So let me, you know, I recently had the pleasure of sitting down with Daymond John, the People Shark from Shark Tank, which this guy's incredible. I mean, we absolutely love him here at CBT News. Millions of others love Daymond John as well. As many of you know, he's the founder of FUBU and many other companies. And the guy is just so dynamic. And we were at the convention last week at NAMAD down in Miami. He happens to live in Miami, and so we reached out to him, and he said, "Sure, I'd love to come down and give you guys an interview and what have you." And so when I caught up with him, I said, "What you've been through a lot with all of your companies during uncertain times," and I thought you gave a great answer. And so here it is. Check it out. You've done a very good job of finding opportunities even in down times.
100%.
Right? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, that's when you find opportunities. I mean, Uber came out in a downtime. Airbnb came out in a downtime. FUBU, we came out when the market had crashed.
Yeah.
And when during down times, people go to people they can trust because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're like, is this really a good investment?
Yeah.
Well, if you're somebody who's been in the community for 20, 40, 50 years, you're not going anywhere. You're like, yes, it is. And I'm going to have to deal with you if it ain't.
That's right. Daymond is awesome, isn't he?
He really is.
He really is. He's very inspiring. The guy's, story is just incredible. He literally started, FUBU in his home and then grew the company to billions of dollars. And he's just such a dynamic guy. And he's made some incredible bets there at Shark Tank that have really paid off. Yeah. And Bombas Socks was one of them.
Yeah. But he could not have been nicer. It was
no, super nice guy. And by the way, a little secret, you'll be hearing a lot, or a big announcement, I should say, coming from CBT News and the Daymond John camp together. So stay tuned for that. We're very excited about it.
That's right. So when a customer has a good service experience, they're a lot more likely to come back, right? And just as importantly, send someone else your way.
That's right. That's a big part of the business for Tully Williams, fixed ops director at Niello Company. He joins us now now on live, I should say, to talk about turning service customers into repeat and referral business, along with some of the everyday opportunities dealers have around tires and brakes in the service drive. So Tully, it is always great catching up with you, and looking forward to today's talk. Welcome in.
Well, thank you so much for having me. The first time you're having this big event. Can't wait to talk about retention, which is the business that we're actually in.
Yeah. So let's jump right in then. What talk to us about this? What I know a lot goes into repeat and referral business, trying to get customers back in. Something that we have been challenged with in retail automotive for quite some time. So what is it that you're doing that's really working well?
Fantastic question. Great question. So here's the deal: is that does your company realize that we're in the repeat and referral business, not just here to make money. Money is a byproduct of good retention. So the goal is going to be how are we doing every day? Does everybody believe in the service drive, from the porters to the techs to the parts guys to the writers and of course to the management, that retention's what we do? And if we believe in that retention number, then we work on things that help drive it. As a group right now, we are at 70%. We have high stores at even 74 and 75, which we're super excited about. But you know, it starts with having great technicians do great things right. And that is the MPI process, and that video is a huge deal for us. Are we doing it correctly? And really, it was hard for us to look at 10,000 videos a month. And we are very blessed that we've had the opportunity to have a scoring product that really has brought our scores up to over 90 points out of 100, which was a big deal for us.
Absolutely. Kudos to you, Tully, for that and your team. Once you get that customer into the service drive, if you had to pick one or two things, what are the hot points with customers that you've found?
I think that communication's a great way of thinking about that. Is that one is that do they trust us? And we have a problem with that, I would say, in the car business. And that's where video really helps out. So every time we do a customer, always have an inspection, always have a video. Now they're all done the same way. And the next is that we show them the red things that need attention today. Are we showing our customers those things? And then we also need to prioritize all those great things that we recommend. And that's how we focus on brakes and tires, because we know that is a defection point. And we really hyper-focus on making sure we sell all red tires, not by, it's not about the number of tires we sell, it's the number of red events and red brakes as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the dealers that I've spoken to said while they don't make a ton of money selling tires, not on the tire themselves, it definitely does wonders for keeping that customer married to the dealership, and also selling that customer so many other types of services and products, right?
100% agree on that. In fact, we actually did. You buy 3 tires and I give you 4. Right? We do that, so we lose money on every tire that we sell if we sell 4 tires. My goal is to be yelled at by the CEO and controller every month, because there's negative gross profit in that tire line on the financial statement, and that I feel that we have done a great job. 2 is it hard to convince service advisors that selling tires actually will drive retention and make them more money in the long run, because they're thinking about today and not tomorrow. And as we build that focus, is it part of their pay plan? Are they talking about tires on a daily, almost hourly basis? They realize how important tires and brakes are.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I imagine that trust is a big part of that as well, especially when you're telling someone that they need brakes or a new set of tires. How do you have that conversation without making the customer feel like they're just being sold something?
Great question. I think the way you look at that is that, do we have evidence that the tire or brake is actually bad? That's where the red pictures and the red videos show the customer that the brake pad is at 2 millimeters. Is our tires at 2 or 3 30-seconds, and they can see what it is. So the trust value goes away, where we always, there they are, trust is there. Now it's all about what? Money and time. Our brands, we're very blessed that money is usually not the object. Now it's all about how we manage the time to get that car in and out.
Sure. You also talk a lot about the driveway process, what takes place there. Walk us through what that looks like and why those details matter to the overall customer experience.
Love that question. As we look at driveway process, to us that is the key focus on driving that great retention. And it starts with, do we check the cars in right at the driveway? Do we walk around and take those pictures of those cars to make sure we're checking for damage? Next is, we are doing 100% tech inspections. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? I actually pay the technician to do that great inspection and video. And next is, we look at the amount of recommendations that the technician does based on mileage bands. I don't want someone to sit there and think, oh my God, they're over recommending or under recommending. As we like to say, it's about recommendations we would sell our family members, and having that philosophy. The next is that, are we building that quote? And oh my God, do we actually send it to the customer? What a concept. I know it sounds funny, but it actually was a very struggle for us years ago, is that we have to actually send it. Even though the customer is at that desk, sitting there talking to you, we're still going to send that quote so they can look at those pictures and videos. And then last but not least, did we actually have the customer look at what they actually sent them? And we want to make sure that 90% of our customer base actually looks at the quote and videos that we send. And in turn, what does that do? We call it same-day selling, which is basically same-visit selling. Are we selling those great red recommendations we sell our family members to those people every day?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And everything you just said, I underline. I know that dealers that are listening right now, fixed ops directors are feeling the same way. That is a phenomenal checklist. It's just a question of execution, though, right? If you can get your team to execute on those great ideas and those concepts, then you're more than halfway there, right?
It is, you know, and here's the thing, is that I've been talking about this forever, and as you repeat it constantly and constantly, and then the writers actually see that and the technicians see that, then it all works well.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we can maintain, you know, 70% is a hard number to keep. You know, as we struggle with some of the, like our Jag Land Rover brand, it's 24 months for an oil change sometimes, right? A little crazy. But the goal is going to be is how do we get those people to come back in for a yearly inspection? Yep. You know, and last thing I want to bring up too is that when you look at retention is your data actually right? You know, when you look at our CDP, which is our big move for this year, is that do you have the right partner, and we use DriveCentric and Matt and his team there, to actually make sure we're communicating with the customer the right message. And that's kind of funny that we actually say that out loud, but it is a serious problem in the fixed ops department, is that someone does not buy those brakes and tires, so we make sure we have that right communication to that customer to understand why they should. Yeah. Having a great CDP, not your DMS data, but your CDP data to help market those customers back in.
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. And DriveCentric's an incredible partner. That's for sure. 70% though. I mean, you must be like when you go to your dealer 20 meetings. You must be the star there because they're going 70%. That's more than double the norm, right?
It is, but you know, it starts with the great teammates. It starts with our great dealer, you know, Rick Niello. He believes that we're in the repeat and referral business. That helps me tremendously. And as our goal is that we sell a car in the front, our job is to do what? Maintain them and keep them in the service drive until they trade the car in for another one. Not sell it to us, but trade that car in. And that hyper-focus is constantly, we talk about it every day, to make sure everybody understands that it's not about today's dollars, it's about long-term repeat and referral. Yeah, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And you've been singing this for a long time. I mean, it's just incredible the kind of job that you and your team are doing there with your customers. I think we've got a question for you or a comment.
Yeah, I think someone from the audience has a question.
Let's okay.
There it is.
There it is. So we've got a question. How can you ensure the dealer is able to do vehicle repairs instead of the customer heading to a something there? Heading to a. Well, I think that what they're saying is that.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Heading to do vehicle repairs instead of customer heading to a third party for service.
Correct. That starts with trust. That starts with great relationships. And two is that, are you priced right? I believe that we have the cheapest oil change in town. I'll beat any oil change in town. Two, I beat every tire price. Even if you go to Costco and buy $1,000 worth of mayonnaise, I still beat their price in tires. Right? So the goal is going to be is that we allow our service advisors on brakes to drop it down almost to cost on brakes because we know how important it is. So we know cost will never be an issue. Now, we have to convince our customers that we are the cheapest price. And here's the deal. We're okay if they shop us. Please, please do. But if you build trust where we've been in business for 105 years, wow, and you build trust where our service advisors are not rotating in and out. We've had service writers 30 and even 40 years at the Niello company. People see that retention of all of our employees, which means they gain trust. And if they're buying their second or third car from us, guess what happens? The trust is already there. Remember, we're still sending you the picture. Trust through verification, as Reagan used to say back in the day. Right. The goal is going to be is that we gain that trust so we have least amount of people vacate. What we've seen in that is an interesting question, is that some people, they're at Walmart and they're getting shopping and they're going to have their basic oil change done. We understand that. The goal is going to be is that that customer is still loyal to us and they have all their major services. And how do we convince those people that time restraint is an issue? And we have to manage that as best we possibly can.
Wow. Now, have you been there since day one, 100 years ago? Because you look great. I mean, you know, 100-year-old company. That's incredible.
You know, the nice thing about it is the Niello company founded and fixed as a Packard Aero Service Center in 1921, which is pretty exciting. But you know, I've been here almost 10 years at the Niello company.
Nice.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's great. We have one more question for you,
Tully.
I think, coming up, Tully. So let's. It says, hi, Jim. How can you? Let's. One more. Our question team is. Okay, forget it. We're gonna pull that question. But so Tully, let me ask you, how do you stay so enthusiastic about fixed ops? I've worked with a lot of fixed ops directors. You've got such a passion and love for what you do. Most fixed ops directors that I work with are like, it's Monday. I don't even want to go out on the service drive right now.
You gotta love what you do, right? I mean, I actually have a hard time sleeping on Sunday nights because I'm so excited about the week coming up, right?
That's great.
And then we have to go out there and tell all of our great team members, how do we get our service and parts managers all excited about selling what? We sell hours. That's all we sell.
Yeah.
Right? How do we get everybody fired up? It's all about how do I get my technicians to go home rich and tired every day? When our average technician, 170 of these great human beings every day, the average hours per day is 12.6 hours. You know what? That's because we have a process to make sure those technicians become efficient. Making sure all of our pay plans are aligned to focus on hours, not gross. God, I'll say it out loud. Don't care about the money. I care about selling those hours and having that repeat referral business.
Nice. Dealers, did you hear that? No, don't worry about the gross. The gross takes care of itself. Focus on the hours, right? And also focus on good service, which brings them back, which leads you to a 70% retention, which is unheard of, as you know, in the industry, right?
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Well, Tully, thank you so much for all the time you've given us today. We really appreciate it and look forward to having you back on soon.
And thank you for being on our inaugural live event here, live show, which will be now every day at noontime. So you can join us for lunch. You can unpack your lunch, you can have your lunch and watch us. But you're on the West Coast, so you can actually have your breakfast.
There you go.
Right?
Either way, you're having some meal.
What a great day for you guys. Congratulations. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for so much, all that you do for the industry. You're a great spokesperson. And I love your attitude. Keep it up. All right, man. Thanks. So, man, that guy's literally coming out of the chair.
I know.
Every time I talk to him, he's got this
his
great
attitude
level
is contagious. I love it.
I know.
It does. He makes me want to be excited about fixed ops too.
70%? That's incredible.
I know.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Every time I talk to the guy, I want to go jump back in the retail automotive.
Exactly.
Great guy.
I would like to quickly say thank you to our sponsor, CDK. With a built-in CDP, AI-powered workflows, and a connected platform, CDK helps dealerships put their data to work. Thank you so much, CDK, for your sponsorship of this show, as well as your long-term partnership with us that we've had for over 10 years, probably 13 years now with them. So.
It really is, over 13 years, without a doubt. They've been great partners of ours, and they make it possible for us to bring you this broadcast and CBT News. So AI isn't new to the automotive industry anymore, dealers. I don't know if you knew that, but dealers and automakers have been using it, testing it, and talking about it for years.
That's right, and the biggest question now is what happens next as AI moves from being another tool in the toolbox to something that could fundamentally change how the industry operates.
That's right. Steve Greenfield, general partner at Automotive Ventures and host of the CBT News long-running Future of Automotive for the past 6 years and over 300 episodes. He joins us now live to look beyond today's AI conversation at what this technology could mean for the automotive industry in the years ahead. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule there. You're probably somewhere in the world because I know you're crisscrossing the globe all the time. Your demand as a speaker. You think you know?
I do. I know where you are.
You know where he is? I think we know where he is too. But so let me ask you, when you look, for the next 5 or 10 years. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was saying, I was in Finland last week, and I'm off to Canada tomorrow. So I don't know if Canada counts for international travel, but then Istanbul the week after. So definitely getting my international quota in.
Oh my God! And your accent gives a little bit of it away that your homeland is Canada, right?
It is indeed.
That's right.
Indeed, yeah.
That's right.
After being 25 years down here, it's hard to tell, but yes.
That's right.
I get back
That's
up
right.
there. I'm preparing the accent to get to reemerge.
So we've been talking a lot about AI for a while now. When you look for the next 5 or 10 years down the road, how different do you think the automotive industry will look because of AI?
Yeah, well, it's interesting times, right? I think for all of us are sort of using or dabbling with AI, and I think that I hear anecdotally, as I'm sure you do, a lot of dealers as well. I was on a panel, moderating a panel 2 weeks ago, and a dealer who has a sizable presence out in the West Coast said that he has AI developers on staff. And they're building software, and in some cases replacing some of their existing vendors, and it's very interesting. And then at the very same conference, I heard some of the big players are building at a very rapid pace to take out some of the standalone vertical SaaS companies in the space as well. So the good thing is we've kind of gotten to the phase where if you can dream what you want, you can really cost effectively and very easily and quickly have a prototype built. And so I think that the dealers themselves are going to be able to innovate. If they've been longing for a new feature or have dreamed up a new product, they can literally build that now and launch it over a weekend. And then the big incumbents out there could be looking at this and saying, this is going to be disruptive to me. But I think equally they're saying, they can pull ahead their product roadmap, give these AI tools to their developers, and effectively do more with fewer people, fewer resources. So it's a very exciting time. It's just going to be hard for all of us, in the industry to keep tabs on this because the pace is definitely accelerating.
Yeah. And with all of that, where do you think dealers could see the biggest productivity or profitability gains?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. There's a slide that I use in some of my presentations when I stand up in front of dealers showing that half of their cost structure every year is labor. It's about 47% according to NADA. And this is where we're going to find a phased approach of dealers being more profitable than they've ever been before. And I firmly believe that. Phase one is going to be giving tools to your employees so they're more productive. Tully's awesome, and I agree with you, Jim. His energy is contagious. But in fixed ops, you're going to have technicians being able to bill more hours, be able to bill higher ROs,
sure.
More throughput for the fixed capacity they have in fixed ops. The individual salesperson is going to be selling more cars per salesperson. They're going to do a better job of automating follow-up, et cetera. So you're going to find for phase one that every employee is more productive.
Yeah.
And then over time, dealers are going to realize, well, if I'm doing a lot more with the same number of people, right, I'll be able to actually over time find enough productivity gains that I'll be able to work with fewer employees overall. So when certain employees either quit or turn over, they may not backfill those employees because they can provide tools, AI-powered tools, to the existing employees to allow them to be more productive. And I think over time, that 50% of their cost structure is going to start to decrease, and dealers are going to find more of that cost structure is reduced, and therefore more of the revenue flows through as profits to the bottom line.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I know that maybe last year, earlier this year, people would come on with their AI programs and what have you, and they would say, oh, no, this is not going to cost any jobs in dealerships, which I would always smile at and go, based on what I know right now of AI, it's definitely going to cost some jobs in dealerships, which is a welcomed event for dealers out there that want to keep their costs low. And obviously we're getting expensed to death as dealers out there. So it's really a question of how less expensive you can run your dealership, right, and keep those costs down. So there's going to be those jobs that just go away because of AI, right, that are most likely to leave.
Yeah, look, I tell dealers 5 years from now that the idea of a BDC is going to seem like archaic.
Yeah.
The fact that you've got a lot of employees in the back office who are really your customer service reps, because they're the ones taking the leads, either inbound or outbound.
Yeah.
And if they have a bad day, then your customer service goes down, your customer service scores go down, or your conversion rate to some paid event like a test drive or an RO getting completed. So I think that AI is just going to learn what your dealer culture is. They're going to learn the best practices of your best people. and then consistently and persistently 24/7 be able to act like your absolute best people. So I think we're going to find all kinds of opportunities, to get rid of departments. Like I think the BDC probably, the days are numbered around a BDC, but I think even like the most sophisticated, highest paid positions at a dealership, like the F&I, the role of F&I, the augmentation of F&I manager. Imagine me starting as an F&I manager, which would be scary. But if I had the consciousness and the intelligence of the best F&I managers in the whole country, and had that as a persistent sort of AI friend that I could reach out to and it could coach me in real time, suddenly you can take a relatively unsophisticated technician, salesperson, F&I manager, and they start performing at the level of the best in the country. So I think we're going to see this very quickly, and then the dealers are going to be like, wow, I'm getting more throughput, more productivity per employee. I can operate absolutely with fewer employees. And to your point, Jim, I'm not foregoing anything. Like I'm actually have these employees that haven't been around very long at a dealership that are performing as well as my absolute best employees overall. And all of that will be because AI is able to do these sophisticated tasks, learn the best practices and implement them.
That's right. That's right.
Now, for those dealers that might be saying, I'll wait until this technology is just a little bit more mature, what would you say to them?
I think it's actually very prudent. There are obviously, we know some of the bleeding edge dealers that are, in the CBT News studio very often, and they'll cut and get bled, and they don't mind trying out these new technologies. And some of them are like building themselves too, which is kind of exciting to watch how that goes. But there will be issues. There'll be issues with chatbots guaranteeing cars for $1, as we've seen, or saying things they shouldn't say, making offhand remarks to consumers. I mean, that's kind of the growing pains. And if I'm a very conservative dealer, I think it's okay to wait, see how this plays out. You're going to benefit. You won't benefit as quickly as some of these dealers that are embracing AI sooner. But I do believe that the rising tide is going to rise all boats, meaning that even the dealers that drag their feet are the slowest adopters are going to find 5 years from now they're just more profitable because AI is going to permeate into all of the workflows for every single one of your employee. There's a lot of pressure on every single vendor to also build new AI into their tools as well to help dealers achieve all of this. So I don't think, Bridget, it's a bad thing if dealers want to drag their feet. You just won't realize these gains as quickly as some of your competitors.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you go to NADA, which you're at each year, so are we, is there any technology out there today, Steve, that could get away with not having an AI element to it? Because every time you walk into a booth, they go, oh, wait till you see what we're doing with AI. We do AI better than anyone else. But are there any technologies out there that you could see where, they just don't use AI? It just seems like it's part of every technology today.
Yeah, I mean, you could take the ones that, I think that would be most evident are car washes. We see those tunnel car washes, or, the jack stands where they put cars up on them. But I don't know about like a car lift, but definitely for even car washes today, there's like new technologies coming in to, conserve water, conserve soap, to drive more throughput, move the cars a little faster along when you can, et cetera. So, and then visual inspection with cameras, et cetera. So, ironically, I think you're exactly right. I think AI is permeating into everything that we're doing and permeating into everything that we're doing. And it's, there isn't an industry that isn't like sitting there with their strategic roadmap and saying, how can we be using this to drive more profitability for us and serve our customers better? And it trickles down everything, even including car washes.
It's amazing. If you had to give dealers one prediction about AI that you think would sound crazy today, but could be completely normal just 5 years from now, what would it be?
So there's a slide that I show, which is maybe my favorite slide, which I can't take credit for. It's Glenn Mercer's slide. And he worked with NADA to show dealer profitability before tax for the last 50 years. And it's a fascinating chart because never in 50 years has the average dealer in America lost money. The business model has changed a lot and evolved, et cetera. But it's always hovered between this 1.5% to 2.5% net profit before tax. COVID, we got up to 6 or 7%. Last year, according to NAD, it was 3.3%. So we're still above average profitability for dealers. And I think that because AI is uniquely going to be able to enable dealers to attack their cost structure, mostly labor, but also vendor relationships, like you said, Jim, that we're going to see this 50 years from now. People will look back and say, what happened? Because they're going to see the COVID spike. They're going to see it trailing back down.
Yeah.
And then they're going to see this big unlock, which means that dealers on average are going to be much more profitable in the future than they have been on average for the last 50 years. I'm totally convinced of this, and we're investing in some solutions that should help dealers. But I think that there are a lot of knock-on effects. If I'm a dealer and I've got a bunch of stores, and suddenly I start printing more profitability, I have more to either share with employees, to go buy more stores, maybe to hedge into real estate or whatever else. But I think that's going to make the asset class, dealers in general, just more attractive. Private equity firms, et cetera, will look and say, what's going on with this industry where it historically tracked at 1.5% to 2.5% net profit before tax, but it's persistently generating more profit than it ever has. And I think that this is good for dealers. I think dealers should embrace this and not be scared. There's pros and cons of adopting early, like you said, Bridget, but I do believe we're about to exhibit like an unlock of more profitability for the average dealer than ever before, even to Bridget's point, if they're laggards and they don't want to adopt very quickly.
Yeah, it really is amazing. These are exciting times to be in, aren't they, Steve? I mean, when you think about all that we've seen in the industry, it really is. Hey, before I let you leave, we've got a question from one of our viewers. So, if you were starting an AI company, where would you focus today?
Yeah, so I think fixed ops, leveraging off of what Tully said, is where I would focus. If you walk the NADA hall, where there's 1,000 exhibitors, I would say 90% of those focus on helping dealers sell an incremental car, be it a new car or a used car. And we haven't spent as much innovation cycles on fixed ops. It generates most of a dealer's profitability between parts and service. And I could rhyme off 6 different business models in fixed ops that have yet to be built. But if I'm an entrepreneur out there, I think I would be thinking about, how do I find the intersection of AI and fixed ops, given fixed ops is so important to a dealer. And it's going to become more important to the dealer in the future, and innovate in that area. That's where I would encourage entrepreneurs to look. Yeah.
I agree. Fixed ops is where it's at. There's no question about it.
Yes. And Steve, we've got one more audience question for you before we let you go. So this is, do you see a future where AI agents communicate directly with the dealership AI systems without a salesperson ever being involved?
Well, that's a great question. Bridget, I thought you were going to ask me about my cats, but yes,
that's the next one.
This is last week's Future of Automotive segment on CBT News every Friday. And yeah, I think that we're going to get there. I think it's interesting. If we were on this show 5 years ago, we'd be talking about how Amazon was setting expectations for consumers. And those consumers then walk into a dealership, and sometimes they're let down because they don't have the same sort of experience with Amazon. Now we can think of the analog of that is using your AI chatbot to negotiate. So we aren't too far off from a consumer after using their AI chatbot to buy airfare, plan their next vacation, whatever it might be, that pretty soon we're going to have consumers using their AI chatbot at the dealership and maybe trying to avoid the dealership entirely. It's one thing to kind of build a consideration set to say, look, I need a minivan, show me the best minivan for me. It's quite different than saying, show me the dealers that have that minivan in stock, and if you wouldn't mind, submit a lead to all of them and find out which one of them's willing to offer me the best price. That's happening already. And then you take it to the next level. Once they find the right dealer and the right car, they're going to be like, okay, great. Look, I don't want to negotiate with the dealer. Would you mind negotiating on my behalf? Like, get me a trade value, negotiate, get my credit app submitted, find me the best monthly payment.
Crazy.
And then, so it's going to be taking the edge off of the negotiation. So Bridget, your question is, how are dealers going to manage this? Because if every consumer starts negotiating this way, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to need to stand up their own chatbot to interact with that chatbot. And we are literally, as space-age as it sounds, we're going to have chatbot versus chatbot negotiations. And it's going to remove the friction for the consumer. But in some ways, back to where we started the conversation, it's going to help eliminate a lot of the work that goes on today with the BDC or the salesperson, because consumers are just going to come in and the deal's effectively going to be completed.
And the chatbot probably doesn't have to check with their manager before they can dish up the best price.
Yeah, look, all the rules that the dealer has about negotiations and slowing things down and whatever, putting pressure on the consumer, you can build all those rules into your chatbot.
Sure.
So again, back to where we talked about earlier, it should be as effective as your best salesperson.
Yeah.
But it's consistent every single time.
That's right. That's right. So let me ask you this question, which is, that the industry is changing so quickly. Will dealers be able to rise up and adapt fast enough to deal with all of this? I mean, the dealers, as you know, they want to sell cars, they want to service cars, they want to take them in on trade. It seems like AI is just coming at them at such a fast pace.
Look, I mean, I have a number of dealers in our funds, and I think that what I hear consistently is, look, I'd like to innovate quicker. I can only innovate at the pace that my vendors allow me to innovate.
Yeah.
And if my vendors aren't innovating, then
Good point.
I'm beholden to like the pace at which they innovate. I think two things are interesting right now. AI is allowing the vendors to like decrease their innovation cycle and be more responsive to customer needs, like dealer needs. But I also think dealers are at the point now where at least the bleeding edge dealers are saying, like, do I actually need some of my vendors? Can I go build these tools myself?
Yeah.
And get something custom built for myself that's obviously going to still need to integrate into the CRM or integrate into the DMS. Yeah. But I do think that cutting edge dealers are going to be able to say, like, look, I've been asking for this feature for 20 years. Don't worry about it anymore. I'm going to go build it myself, which is going to like kind of emancipate the dealer to now take on a lot more of that, thought-provoking innovation themselves, which is very, very exciting if I'm a dealer.
Yeah, no question. All right, so 30 seconds or less, pitch your latest company that you're investing in and what you love about it.
Oh, goodness. Well, we are talking to one now. We're very close to making an investment, hopefully in the next week or so, with a sort of marketplace where dealers on one side, vendors on the others, to your point, Jim, and scrutinizing, am I getting the best price? Am I getting the best terms? And having AI layered in to help a dealer, whether they're buying uniforms or they're buying oil for the service lanes, making sure that every time they're getting the best term, being treated fairly by the vendors, et cetera.
That's
and
great.
Then the vendors are going to be able to plug in because they're going to find a critical mass of dealers, and it's going to be effectively a distribution channel for the vendor. So it's something that really doesn't exist nationally yet for dealers, and we think it's going to be great value for the dealers, great value for the vendors, and bring more automation and AI efficiency to what is right now a very clunky process when dealers have to manage through all their vendors.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no question. But let me ask you one last question. What kind of pressure does AI, especially with the scenario that you just talked about earlier, where you've got AI talking to another AI and such, with regard to third-party lead providers and third-party companies out there, like Cars.com and others?
Yeah, I mean, so this is the existential threat for Cars.com, Car Gurus, Auto Trader, TrueCar, whatever, is like if the agent is going to do all the shopping, and the only traffic that ever goes to Car Gurus or Cars.com are agents, and humans stop going in there and searching around, a few different dynamics will play out, right? One is I'll no longer be teased by the Ferrari listing and then go down the rabbit hole of clicking on Ferraris for like 10 minutes. Because the chatbots will be focused on getting the job done, and they won't be distracted by clicking on a bunch of stuff that could be clickbait within the ecosystem. Not that ever happens for me. But I think that they need to think about the evolution of an ecosystem where, one, their cars show up on ChatGPT or Anthropic when somebody's using Claude or something to search. So they need to figure out how they actually get their listings into these chatbots. But then they also have to think, the chatbot isn't necessarily going to need 72 photos. Yeah. They're going to need assurances it's a credible dealer, the price is good, the car has a good Carfax, and whatever other attributes the consumer wants, low mileage, something close to my house, low transportation fees. But I do think it's a challenging time for the third parties to think through, if an increasing percentage of my traffic is not human and it's bots coming in, I got to figure out what are the bots going to want, and how do I make my inventory data as attractive as possible to make sure I have a fair shot at getting that customer's business.
That's right. That's right. Steve Greenfield, one of the smartest, best minds in our industry. Thank you so much for joining us on CBT Live, our new show that'll be airing every day at noontime. But so thanks so much for joining us. This has been really great. I know that our dealer audience will get a lot out of your visit with us. So thank you so much.
Honored to be here, and congratulations on the launch of this thing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
See you.
Wow, the guy's amazing.
Amazing.
He really
Yeah.
is. Every
Yeah,
time
this
I
is a
talk to
great
him, I walk
conversation.
away like, this guy's just, his mind is incredible.
And while we're on the topic of AI, I would like to mention we have an upcoming webinar with Podium.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's called Cheap AI is Expensive, Why Good AI Beats Bad AI Every Time. This is happening on Wednesday, September 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have a live Q&A at the end, so be sure to register at cbtnews.com.
Jordan Parker and Misty Tippett, and Podium's a great company.
It's going to be a good webinar.
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going on for us today here at our new edition of CBT Live. We hope you enjoyed it. Be here every single every single day, Monday through Friday, and right at noontime, unless you're on the West Coast, and then of course it's 9 o'clock in the morning. You can have your breakfast with us instead
That's
of your
what we were saying. You can have a meal with us either way, whether it be breakfast, lunch, whatever. So
that's right. We won't buy you lunch, but we'll enhance your mind over lunch, right?
And to be sure that you keep up with all of the great content at CBT News, be sure to sign up for our free newsletter. You can do that also at cbtnews.com.
That's right. And we want to hear from you. We want to know your feedback. We want to get comments from you. And of course, subscribe to our newsletter as well, as you mentioned. And then also 40 under 40. Let's not forget about that.
Nominations are still open for 40 under 40 until September 18th. So if you know a rising star in an industry that needs to be recognized, that should be recognized, or if you feel like you should be recognized, you can nominate yourself. You can do that at cbtnews.com as well. So be sure to nominate for the 40 under 40 awards.
That's right. Yep, 40 and 40. What a great group of people that we have every year. So I think it's our fourth year, right?
It is. And I love that we have these young minds on to talk about their success right here on CBT News. So you can go back and watch previous winners from the previous years at cbtnews.com as well. And we've got a lot of great conversations with all of those rising stars.
That's right. Well, that's our show. That's kind of wraps
for
it up
everyone.
for our first CBT Live.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. See you tomorrow. Thanks so much.